Replacing two of the best players in college football is no easy task, but I think Deion Sanders has three potential superstars on his hands in 2025. Let's find out who they are.
You are Locked On Buffs, your daily podcast on the Colorado Buffaloes, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome to Locked On Buffs. I am your host, Kevin Borba. Today's episode is brought to you by Monarch Money. Take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use code LOCKEDONCollege at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. We are also brought to you by the Locked On Podcast Network. It's your team every day for free and available wherever you get your podcasts. So do me a favor, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and let's have some fun talking about the Buffs. Just finished a decent round of 9 holes of golf. Finish the day with a par. You know, what can I say? Solid. You know, the rest of the day, bogeys, a double bogey here and there. So tough day. But at the end of the day, we're here to talk some Deion Sanders. We're here to talk some Colorado football. And let's just get right to it as I talk about my golf game. The Buffs had Travis Hunter, the Heisman winner, the Blitnikoff winner, should have been the Thorpe Award winner. He won the award for being the best defensive player of the year, the best most versatile player of the year as well for the second year in a row, right? You lose Travis Hunter, who, I mean, let's just say it, right? I think we're well past the point of beating around the bush. Travis Hunter was a generational player, probably one of the best college football players we've ever seen. I make the joke all the time. It's not really a joke because I feel like one day it'll happen. He's a guy I'm going to tell my kids about, right? He's a guy who played thousands of snaps, played offense, played defense, and he was equally as good on both sides. Could easily be the best corner in college football, and he could easily be the best receiver in college football, which by the award show he was. I mean, he just does everything, right? Normally when guys play both ways in college, I think of like Miles Jack, where it was like he was either a starter at linebacker and kind of a rotational running back, or the vice versa. Adoree Jackson was like a gadget guy. Jabril Peppers, same thing. It was like they had special packages for him, but they were not full-time guys. Deion Sanders himself, not a full-time two-way star like Travis Hunter. So Travis Hunter, generational player. I don't know if we'll ever see a player like that again. I think we're going to see people try. I just wrote a story for Athlon Sports the other day. Zion Ely, who's the number one recruit in the country, he's a 5-star, which I'm going to talk about him tomorrow. 5-star, number one player in the country. He's listed as an edge, but the other day he posted that he plans to play edge and wide receiver at the next level. So we'll see how that goes. But people are going to try to replicate it. I don't think it's possible. I think it's easier to imitate, but you can't replicate Travis Hunter. And going to be tough to replace him on both sides of the ball. Shedeur Sanders, I think, and I'm going to talk about this later because there's a controversial joke during the ESPYs about Shedeur. I think you could say whatever you want about Shedeur Sanders, like however you feel is how you feel. At the end of the day, like in terms of his jersey being retired and stuff like that, I think Shedeur Sanders was unnecessarily hated because his dad was Deion Sanders. I think Shedeur Sanders was unnecessarily hated because he was a confident young black man who wasn't afraid to tell you how he was feeling. He wasn't afraid to say, hey, I think I'm good. I think my team's good. And people hated that. And I mean, they didn't hate it when it was Baker Mayfield. They didn't hate it when it was XYZ quarterback. So you know how it is, right? But Shedeur Sanders is no longer here. Travis Hunter's no longer here. And the Buffs need guys to step as a star. So I'm going to tell you my 3 picks for who I think will be stars for Colorado. And I think the obvious one, or at least it's obvious in my eyes, who has the most star power out of this group is Kaidon Salter, right? I think Kaidon Salter in 2023 was a college football star, right? I think he is easily, at his best, the best dual threat quarterback in college football. Right. I look back at that 2023 season. He had 32 touchdowns, 6 picks. Great ratio there. 2,800 passing yards, 61 completion percentage, a long of 75 yards, only sacked 9 times. Rushed for 1,000 yards, 12 touchdowns. So he combined for 46 touchdowns in a year. The dude is electric. His longest rush was 52 yards, averaging 6.7 yards per carry. This past year, he loses some guys to the transfer portal. Liberty isn't as good. The talent around him isn't as good, and he struggled, right? He had completed 50, saw a decline in pretty much every stat. Saw a decline in completion percentage, 56.3%. Saw a decline in passing yards, 1,800 yards. Average yards per completion was 7.2 compared to 9.9. Touchdowns were 15 compared to 32, and interceptions stayed the same at 6. and he was sacked 19 times. So clearly he was being a little bit more indecisive, not as effective in the pocket. And then he also rushed for 587 yards, 5.1 yards per carry for 7 touchdowns, which, I mean, when you're a quarterback and you show that you have that ability, teams are going to start keying in on you. So they're going to start putting a spy or making, they're going to take something away. Right. And he struggled last year, but I think the offensive line for Colorado should be better, right? You have Jordan Seaton coming back for year 2. He was a freshman All-American last year. You have Xavier Hill, who was one of the best offensive linemen in the country last year. And you have a couple of other guys who, I mean, Davian McGill, who I think should be really good. You also have the Northwestern transfer. Like the unit, I don't know what the combination is. I really don't. At the end of the day, they just need a combination to work, right? They just need a combination to work. And whether they get that combination, I don't know. But Colorado just needs an average offense line. I've been saying this for 3 years now, 3 seasons now. An average offense line would move mountains for this program, right? It would allow them to run the ball. It would allow the quarterback to not get hit. Shedeur Sanders was sacked 90-something times in 2 years, right? That's now a lot of those sacks. I would say about 30% of those sacks were his fault, right? He had a tendency to hold the ball. He had a tendency to sort of maneuver backwards and like see what he could do. And I understand that from his perspective. He's trying to make a play. He's trying to make something happen out of nothing. But yes, the offensive line was terrible. So Caden Salter, at his best, is one of the best dual threat quarterbacks in the country. I think if Pat Shurmur can get the most out of him, Colorado is going to be due for a big year. My next star for the Buffs, we did a ranking, and I included him. We did a ranking of the top 100 players in college football, and I put him in there. And I don't know if the rest of the hosts, because it's every person at Locked On, and I think he's a little bit more of an under the radar guy right now, and I think that's going to change. I think Tafiq Bayard, safety, can come down to the box, rush the passer if needed. This past season for South Florida, 54 total tackles, 2 sacks, an interception. He's just a guy that when we watch the spring game, and I know it's a spring game, but if you go back and watch the USF tape, he's all over the place. He's going to be number 11 for the Buffs, I believe. You just are constantly going, okay, who is that guy, right? Who is that guy? Why do I keep seeing number 11? Or why do I keep seeing, I think he's number 11. Is number 11 or 7? I want to say. He's number 9 apparently on the roster right now. We'll see if that number sticks. I was flicking the sticks on EA College Football 26, and he was number 11 for some reason. But number 9, 11, whatever, Tafiq Bayard, just know the name. I don't know his number yet. Know the name. He's a guy who's going to be making plays frequently. He's always in the right spot. He's going to be a great leader for this team. And when you lose, I mean, Travis Hunter's a huge loss, right? But I think people are overlooking the losses of Cameron Craig and Shedeur Sanders, right? Shedeur Sanders didn't have the year he could have this past year. I think injury really played a factor in that. But Craig, leader, dog, energy bunny, if you will, like dude just all over the field. And Shedeur Sanders, heavy hitter, hard hitter, headache gang CEO, right? And I think Tafiq Bayard is someone who can sort of step into the role and be the perfect mix of them, where he's a great leader, all over the place, hard hitter, and they can use him in a multitude of ways. So look out for Tafiq Bayard. And then lastly, I mean, I think this guy has probably the most star potential out of everyone, just out of pure, like, this is what he's supposed to be. Like, he was supposed to be a guy who was a first-round NFL pick, and he hasn't really lived up to that expectation. But he's 6'5", 320-ish, 330-ish, depending on where you see. I mean, the Colorado's website, I feel like their roster is hit or miss sometimes. I don't know. Like, he's listed at 6'5", 325. So that's what we'll roll with. Robert Livingston was like, he's a massive human, one of the biggest humans you'll ever see. And when our host of Locked On Bama came on, he was like, dude, he is an All-American potential. They just need to find it in him, right? He just needs to find it in himself. He needs to find that motivation. And it's not to say that Jaheim Otis isn't a motivated player, but I think from what I've gathered, what I've sort of seen of him, is there's moments where he turns it off, and then there's moments where he turns it on. And I just think with Warren Sapp and Pecco, like, if you're not able to have it on all the time, then maybe it's just not for you. That's a tough conversation or a tough realization to have. Like, some of these guys are so dominant growing up that they don't have like that extra edge of like, I really need to ramp it up here. But if Jaheim Otis is at his best, like his freshman year at Alabama, makes an impact right away. 29 total tackles, 2 pass deflections, and a sack, right? Freshman, I think he was a freshman all SEC kind of guy. If you get twice as much production from him like that, if you get that production or hopefully better now, he could dominate the Big 12. He could be one of the best players in the Big 12. It's just a matter of, does he want to do it? I don't know. Does he care to do it? I don't know. Can Warren Sapp and Coach Pecco get it out of him? I would think so. But I think everything I've seen and been told about this guy and what they're hoping for him, I mean, they're hoping he is the next best thing. Like, they are hoping they tap into that first round potential. They are hoping that, like, hey, the Jaheim Otis, the recruit who was a borderline 5-star, who was the number 1 player in the state of Mississippi, 60th player overall in the country, who had programs like Alabama, Ole Miss, Arkansas, Georgia, LSU coming after him. I mean, they're hoping to get that guy. This was his high school scouting report. 6'4", 370. He obviously needed to lose some weight there, as the scouting report says. Excellent athletic ability for his size, showing the ability to play multiple roles on defensive line. Flashes a good first step off the offensive line, demonstrating good foot and body quickness. More of a finesse mover than he is a power player. Will have to learn how to use his size, right? Need to learn how to use his size, but this is the perks, the benefits. Possesses the frame and mass to anchor the run while maintaining the athleticism to offer some interior pass rush ability. He's a guy that doesn't need to come off the field, right? He's a guy that could disrupt the run. He's a guy that could get after the quarterback. And Colorado needs him. They need him to find that gear or that mindset, that motivation. I don't know what it is that he needs to find, but Colorado's really hoping he finds it, because if he does, look out. The Buffs are going to be physical. They have him, Anquan Barnes, so many guys. Tavian Coleman, Gabriel Lightfoot. They have so many guys they could rotate in there, but they really need Jaheim Otis to be that guy. So those are the 3 players who I think have the biggest potential to be stars for the Buffs. Let me know who you think. Let me know who you think could be a star for the Buffs. Let's talk about it in the comment section. When we come back, I'm going to tell you my 3 biggest concerns about the Colorado Buffaloes this upcoming season. This episode, it's brought to you by Monarch Money. Ever wish you managing your money felt easier? With Monarch Money, it can. Whether you're growing your savings or planning a big purchase, Monarch puts you in the driver's seat. It's like having your own personal CFO, giving you full visibility and control over your finances. Monarch Money is more than just a budgeting app. It's a complete financial command center. You can track all your accounts, investments, and spending in one place. So in addition to managing your money, you're also building wealth. Take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use code LOCKEDONCollege at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. That's monarchmoney.com, code LOCKEDONCollege for half off your first year. Welcome back to Locked On Buffs. Appreciate you guys for tuning in every single day, making me your first listen of the day. We are free and available wherever you get your podcast. Do me a favor, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, give me 5 stars wherever you listen to your podcast, and let's get ready for a season of fun, a season of jazz, a season of college football, because it's coming. It's coming. Let's talk about my 3 biggest concerns. They're going to be player, personnel, coaching. It's going to be all over the place, right? Let's start with the most glaring one. I mean, the offensive line. Until they prove they are not a concern, they are a concern, right? Let's just pull up the old stats here for Shedeur Sanders and the Buffs in general. Shedeur Sanders last year was sacked, and this is, mind you, he was first team, or he was the Big 12 Offensive Player of the Year. So your Big 12 Offensive Player of the Year was sacked 42 times in a season. And it's like, oh, is that bad? Well, I guess it's not as bad as the year before when he was sacked 52 times, 94 sacks in 2 years. And to make matters worse, right, Colorado rushing attack had 804, and we'll take off Shedeur's because he had negative 50 yards rushing. So we'll add 50 yards to the total. They had 897 yards rushing for 2.5 yards per carry, 15 total touchdowns, and Isaiah Gustav is no longer in the building. Isaiah Gustav is in, Columbia, South Carolina? I think wherever South Carolina is. I think they're in Columbia. I could be wrong. I don't know my geography that well. I was just in South Carolina a few months ago, too. That's crazy. Anyway, yeah, terrible run game. Leading rusher at 384 yards. Now, the offensive line wasn't great. I heard some concerning things about the running backs, that they were like struggling to run through contact. It was basically like they stopped moving their legs as soon as they like felt contact. They were just like, here we go. So hopefully, with arguably the best running back of all time in the building, maybe that'll improve. But the offensive line has limited Colorado for 2 years now. And this group, I mean, there's some veterans, there's some younger guys. Coach Prime is mixed and matched, and they are just Father, Son, Holy Spirit. Amen. Our Father who does art in heaven. Shout out to the basement yard. If you get that reference, cool. If you don't, I'm sorry. But they need the they need the offense line to be productive. Be average, right? I mean, we'll look at sacks allowed NCAA last year, right? Like we'll just sort of to give you an idea of where Colorado was at, because it was terrible. Like they were legitimately the worst offensive line in college football in sacks allowed. The only team they had 43 sacks allowed. So these are teams that had more sacks allowed than them. Southern Miss, Cal, Oklahoma, Virginia, and Florida State. All those teams were terrible. And Hawaii. Not where you want to be. And you just go to, like, say the middle of the pack, because there's 136 FBS teams now. Look at a team like, I don't even know. Like, who's a good example of this? Texas last year. They were a playoff team. They were 89th in sacks allowed. They had a great offense line. I think they had 3 of them drafted, another one signed, maybe 4 of them drafted. I don't even know the number. 37 sacks allowed. If Colorado, I mean, you just get to a point where you go from 43 to 37. That's probably a big difference, right? You go to a team like Rutgers, who had 21 sacks, or a team like Georgia, 25, Texas A&M, 23. Like, imagine Shedeur Sanders last season, for instance. Let's say that we sacked 20 less times. That's 20 more attempts that Shedeur Sanders could find Travis Hunter, Jimmy Horn, LeJohntay West, or whoever it is, right? The offensive line needs to be productive. Next concern, because I feel like I harped on them a lot. I feel like they will be better. Let me just put it out there. I think they will be better. I think this will be the best one yet. If it's not, I don't know what to do. I really don't. My next concern. Oof, this is going to be a humbling one for one Mr. Pat Shurmur. Pat Shurmur, you're on notice, right? I didn't love the play calling at times last year. And this is kind of like a prove it year for Pat Shurmur, right? Deion Sanders is someone who will move on quick from a play caller, right? He's working on a deal with Byron Leftwich, which, I mean, in my eyes is pretty much like a contingency plan to Pat Shurmur if things don't go well. And again, Colorado gave up on the rushing attack way too often. Now you can blame Shedeur. I don't know. I feel like if they really wanted to run the ball, you kind of make it a point, be like, hey, stop audibling out of these plays. That's just me, though. I don't know. I'm not in that conversation. I don't know if it's that simple. I don't know, but that would be my approach. But Pat Shurmur has to call a completely different offense this year, right? You have playmaking wide receivers in Draylon Miller, Marion Miller, Sincere Brown, Joseph Williams. Are they going to be the same as Travis Hunter? Probably not. And I think it's unfair to expect anything close. LeJohntay Wester, elite. Are they going to be the same as him? Probably not. Unfair to expect anything close, right? You need Pat Shurmur to get creative. You need Pat Shurmur to really cater this offense to what the Buffs have. And I don't know if he could do that. I just don't. So we will find out this year if Pat Shurmur has creativity, if Pat Shurmur can adjust, or if Pat Shurmur will be another offensive coordinator, play caller who gets demoted by Deion Sanders. Because I think Deion Sanders has gone through 5 or 6 of them in his coaching tenure. So, and his time at Jackson State and Colorado combined. So there's that, right? This is the first time at Colorado he's had returning ones, both defensive and offensive. So that's exciting. So some continuity there, but really need Pat Shurmur to step it up and really cater to whatever. If it's Caden Salter, utilize his legs. If it's Julian Lewis, protect him. Third and final concern for this Colorado team, I think it's who steps up as leaders, right? I think without Shedeur and Travis, does the team struggle with its identity? I don't know, right? We'll just have to wait and see. Like, who is that vocal leader? Who is that lead by example guy? Who is the guy that all the players can gravitate towards? When it was Shedeur and Travis, it was obvious. It's like these two are two of the best players in college football. We follow them. Our heartbeats is their heartbeats. If they're down, I'm down. If they're up, I'm up. Like, that's the danger of having two great players, or just a great player in general, is if your player has a poor attitude, which neither of those guys did, the team ebbs and flows as they do. And I don't know who that guy is going to be. I don't think Colorado knows who that guy is going to be, but they need to figure it out. And that guy needs to really step up in a manner that can guide this team to success, positivity, and greatness in all avenues. So easier said than done, of course. When we come back, we're going to be talking about the Shedeur Sanders joke at the ESPYs, why I think it was unnecessary, but I mean, what are you going to do? Welcome back to Locked On Buffs. Appreciate you guys for tuning in every single day, making me your first listen of the day. We are free and available wherever you get your podcast. Do me a favor, make sure to like, subscribe, and follow, and let's just dive into it. Shane Gillis, the host of the ESPYs. I mean, there's funny moments. Shane Gillis is obviously an edgier comedian. I think the whole purpose of the ESPYs this year was to sort of get edgy, and Shedeur Sanders caught a stray. And I think a lot of people are up in arms about it. And I'm just going to address the joke itself. Here it is. Shedeur Sanders had his jersey retired at Colorado this year, and people are saying it's because of nepotism, because of his father, and it's not. It's because he went 13-12 over his career, and he almost won the Alamo Bowl. Definitely not nepotism, right? And I think, like, obviously they showed Lamar Jackson kind of snickering and like, haha, like whatever. The audience itself is like, like, here's the thing. People are going to forever be upset about Shedeur Sanders getting his jersey retired for two reasons. One, didn't lead Colorado. Like, he wasn't, okay. 13-12 is going to be the first reason, right? He was one game over 500. And the other reason, his dad's the coach. Three reasons. Dad's the coach, the record, and how soon it was, right? That's never going to change. People are always going to be mad at that. However, I've talked about this time and time again. Every program has different standards for, my fourth reason, because Colorado's done a crappy job at honoring the legends that have come before them. So there's guys like, I mean, Cordell Stewart, Darian Hagan, whoever, Eric Bieniemy, that don't have their jerseys retired. That's Colorado's fault. It's not Coach Prime's fault. Hate to tell you. But those are the reasons. People are never going to get over it, especially since it's Shedeur, right? People want to hate. People want to be angry about it. And at the end of the day, it's just, that's life. And I think for Shedeur, because he's going to hear this the rest of his life, is like, you're overrated, blah, blah, blah. That's just going to be his life from now on. You just have to sort of live with it. And I don't really know if there's a solution, but yeah, I heard the joke, and immediately a bunch of people sent it to me and were like, and I was like, yeah, good one. Like, I get it. Like, people were upset about Shedeur's jersey being retired. Would I have retired his jersey a couple weeks after the season? I don't know. He left the school with 100 broken records. He left this with like owning 100 records. He left the school having made a cultural impact that I don't know if many programs in college football have ever experienced. And I think when you look at box scores to decide if someone was great or not, there's often a confusion there. Like Joe Namath, if you look at his stats, it's like, oh, was he that good? I don't know, right? Same thing with, I don't want to diminish people's careers. So I'm not going to, sorry to Broadway Joe there, but you get what I mean? Like, there's just going to be people who, if you just solely look at win-loss record, which is a terrible stat for quarterbacks, by the way. If someone throws a win-loss record at you for a quarterback, they don't know ball. But they're going to look at win-loss. They're going to look at bowl game, whatever, and it's going to be like, oh, he didn't win a bowl game. One game over 500. Ooh, dad was the coach. Like, there's going to be reasons to, like, nitpick. But you have to look at the broader spectrum, and I feel like we as a society still don't understand that. So that is my take on the matter. At the end of the day, a joke's a joke. It is what it is. Laugh it off and move on. But I just want to talk about it because I feel like people are going to be mad about it, but that's always going to happen. That's life. So that is all I got to say today. Appreciate you guys for tuning in, making Locked On Buffs your first listen of the day. We are free and available wherever you get your podcast. Make sure to like, subscribe, and follow. This upcoming weeks, we have Philip Dukes coming on the show, so that's exciting. And I will see you guys next episode.